If I were Grand Emperor of the universe, short story writers would never have to pay for dinner. Ever. Their bank accounts would overflow. They would always go to the front of any line, and the sun would shine from behind every time they made an entrance.
Hi, I'm Ron Collins, and I love short stories. That's why I'm celebrating short fiction while I release my new book on writing and reading short. This book is exclusive to Kickstarter, meaning you won't find it anywhere else for several months. And of course, once you do, you won't get all the goodies that we can get here. So, my love for short fiction started way before I decided to begin this whole writing gig. Back in the time when you chiseled manuscripts into stone, right? 30 years later, I put a couple hundred stories in a lot of different professional places. I've done mystery, I've done crime, science fiction, spies, contemporary fiction, contemporary fantasy, epic fantasy, romance and westerns. I've done a lot of things. I've even edited some anthologies too. So yeah, I guess it's probably a really good thing that I love short stories. I really loved writing this book though on writing and reading short because it really made me think about everything that I've dealt with over the last 30 years of my career. And I do mean like everything. There's craft in here without any doubt, particularly when I talk about things like what a short story is in my frame of reference. But really, on writing and reading is kind of turned out to be more about what it means to write fiction and what it means to read short fiction than specifically how to write it, you know what I mean? Especially when it comes to balancing between life as a writer and having a career. Because I didn't become a full-time writer until about 10 years ago out of my 30. So I really do kind of understand what it means to have to feed the beast of real life while you're keeping your writer's head just barely above water, right? Gulp. Being a writer, and especially one dealing with short fiction, primarily short fiction, it's just not easy. But on the other hand, I also am very familiar with and aware of that joy that you get when you find that story that just speaks to you so hard that you can't get it out of your head all day long. Short fiction is just like that. It will just sneak up on you, and when it does, and it just it hits you, and when it does, wow, that is just the most brilliant feeling, right? That's the thing. If you're a writer or a reader of short fiction, I hope that this book is really for you, because it kind of gives you a big, whole comprehensive thing. But once I kind of hit on the idea of making this a celebration of short fiction, I realized that I really had the opportunity to let you mix and match all sorts of things with my own fiction, and get some really good deals out of the whole process. So basically, my stuff spans so many different genres. I kind of looked at everything and I thought, well, I can probably find something for just about everyone. And that turned out to be true. Everything from Picasso's Cat and Other Stories, which was my very first collection, and has a really kind of wide array of subgenres and gets you the feeling of how I was writing in the first 5 or 10 years of my career. Five Magics is just pure epic fantasy, just kind of distilled short, right? which is really kind of fun. Tomorrow in All the Worlds is this whacked out thing that comes from Boundary Shot Quarterly that I guess I'll call a strange, pulpy, bordering on Twilight Zone science fiction, but not quite. You just have to kind of decide what you want to call that yourself and tell me. And then there's Fiction River, which if you're familiar with me at all, you know I spent a lot of time writing for Fiction River. And I just love that project so much, primarily because it is the project that broke me out of my concept of myself as being a speculative fiction writer only, right? That's where I wrote my very first romance genre in that field, or in that publication. My first gritty Western. Historical pieces. I've learned to do so many different things in that project. And so when I looked at it, I realized that I could split it up into 3 separate pieces. Things from kind of more science fiction, which you'll find in Tides of Adventure, speculative fiction and contemporary fiction that you'll find in Streams of Speculation, and then more real literary historical fiction in contemporary currents and historical eddies. So fundamentally, you can get that whole package, or you can get them in one-off buckets, depending on your reader preferences. Because really at the end, the whole celebration of short fiction in this whole writer thing, at the end of the day, writers are readers, and readers are curious creatures, right? We want what we want. And that's really one of the reasons why I included "and reading" in that title of On Writing and Reading Short, right? Because this book is about building a life within the idea of being a writer and writing, but at the end, everything really boils down to readers. So anyway, that's my story. Welcome to my Kickstarter celebrating short fiction. I really appreciate you being part of my journey, and it's been a really wild ride so far, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes in the future. So thank you very much, and have a great day.